During a town hall meeting where Florida men and women were invited to voice their comments and concerns over the requirement to wear face masks in public, we witnessed scenes straight out of the show Parks and Recreation. These Florida citizens really don't like masks, and they think that common sense and science is on their side in saying that these masks are harmful and not effective. They could not be further from the truth. Let's listen to exactly what they have to say and talk about why it is so wrong.
It is appalling that each and every one of you sitting up there as human beings, part of the human race, the only race that we have, would suggest to muffle people, to put masks on our face, to keep us from breathing oxygen, to get us to become sickly.
If anything, wearing a mask is going to make you less sick. She's just parroting ideas from conspiracy videos like Plandemic, which claim that wearing a mask is actually going to make you sicker. There is absolutely no scientific evidence for this. In fact, multiple scientific studies show the exact opposite. Here's a huge review done by scientists from Australia. In this review, they looked at many other studies done by other scientists and came to a consensus that face masks actually help prevent the spread of COVID-19. This is obviously something that healthcare workers have known for a very long time, and why they wear masks regularly to help prevent their patients from getting sick. But just for good measure, here's another study done by researchers at Texas A&M University, where they found that wearing a mask specifically prevented hundreds of thousands of COVID-19 infections across this entire pandemic. I'll put the links to these studies and every other study I talk about in this video in the description.
You preach pseudoscience and safety. Does anyone care about preserving the liberty of the people who pay your salaries?
Requiring you to put a simple cloth over your face to help save lives is protecting the liberties of the people who are at risk of dying from this disease.
They want to throw God's wonderful breathing system out the door. You're all turning your backs on it. Can you prove that it's good for people to breathe carbon dioxide over and over and over again?
You are not breathing in carbon dioxide over and over again by wearing a mask. If you are following the CDC guidelines for face mask wearing, then your face mask is not tight enough around your face to prevent you from breathing in the right amount of oxygen. Even if you are wearing an N95 mask which fits tighter around the face, you are extremely unlikely to ever affect your blood oxygen levels. Healthcare professionals have even been posting pictures on social media showing that their blood oxygen levels do not change from before they go to work to after they've been at work for many hours wearing a mask.
What about PTSD from child abuse situations? I was left in a hot car. You want to cover my face? I'm going to hyperventilate because I remember being stuck in that hot car. What about people like me? We don't matter because of the greater good, right?
Since being in quarantine, I've had to get on antidepressants due to increased anxiety and depression. This has not been easy on anybody, but if you are refusing to put a cloth in front of your face in order to help save lives and protect the well-being of your neighbors, then you are not fighting for your rights, you are not fighting for liberty, you are being selfish.
I own a firearms business. Now, I think you might agree with me that it would be ludicrous for me to allow someone into my shop to purchase a firearm who's wearing a mask, whose face I cannot see.
Right, because someone's face is the determining factor between whether or not you sell them a gun.
We will get together and do a citizen's arrest on every single human being that goes against the freedom of choice, okay? You literally cannot mandate somebody to wear a mask knowing that that mask is killing people.
The science is very clear. Masks save lives, and there is no evidence that they're killing anybody. And throwing out idle threats of citizens' arrests the way Oprah throws out cars to her audience is not going to change that.
You're not God, and since masks are harmful, where there is risk, there should be choice. You're removing our freedoms and stomping on our constitutional rights by these communist dictatorship orders or laws you want to mandate.
Right, the whole where there is risk, there should be choice argument. If you are feeding your infant child food, there is a small risk that they could choke to death or suffer from a foodborne illness that will put them in the hospital. Yet you don't get to choose whether or not you feed your child. In this case, you don't get to choose whether or not you can spread a deadly virus to your neighbors.
We are a nation of shared values of freedom, liberty, equality. We are home of the free, land of the brave. This is America, as someone else spoke. This is not Cuba.
In America, we say land of the free, home of the brave.
And I say Trump 2020, and I hope every one of you gets voted out who votes for a mask here today. Shame on you for voting for a mask.
No, shame on you, because the faster we all cooperate and do things like wear masks, wash our hands, and practice social distancing, the faster we can get out of this situation and deal with this pandemic, instead of letting it run rampant and kill people.
I don't wear a mask for the same reason I don't wear underwear. Things gotta breathe.
Someone should send this to MeUndies and get that woman some help.
You did not listen to we the people. I would die for that country. I would die for the Constitution. And you know what? You disgrace me. You know why? You did not listen to we the people. You made your decision.
Okay, so this pain train of selfishness and bad science goes on for a while. But not everything at this meeting was terrible.
We know that mandatory masking works. We've seen it work in other communities. We know that it stops the spread of COVID. We are at a crisis point.
That is all true. And like I said, the studies showing all of this are linked in the description if you want to check them out.
Nobody's mentioned death. I've lost a son to this disease. I lost a grandmother and a grandfather to this disease. And I have 3 people on respirators right now. It's real.
Thank you, ma'am, for your comments today.
Seriously, thank you to that woman who is really fighting for our liberties by risking her own life going to this town hall meeting in order to tell her story. At the end of the day, Florida did vote to require face masks in public, so thankfully, these anti-maskers didn't get in the way of that. Right now, the best scientific data we have and the experts all say that wearing masks is going to significantly help us in our efforts to prevent COVID-19 spread and save lives. These people who refuse to wear masks are doing so for reasons that disregard science and ignore the experts. This is like if a plane full of passengers suddenly revolted against the pilots and the cabin crew, crying that the seatbelts are oppressive and infringing on their liberties to get up and walk around the plane. It just doesn't make any sense. Well, I think that's a pretty thorough debunk of the common things you might hear people who are anti-mask saying. This has been Debunk the Funk. I'm Dr. Wilson, and if you like this, make sure to subscribe and join me on Tuesday, where I'll be going through some fails made by anti-vaxxers. See you then.